Visualization, the act of mentally rehearsing something in your mind's eye, meaning seeing it happen in your head before you do it for real. Now, this is a very popular topic in sport and performance psychology. You can see some of the top performers in sport, tactical. You can even see the Blue Angels doing it, getting their minds right to fly.
Vertical 5-5. Easing more power. A little ease.
Now, why do this? There's a lot of carryover from the science aspect of being able to have neurons fire to mimic the physical actions because your brain's sending those signals no matter what. So that way you become acclimated physically to it, but also mentally. You sense how it feels in your mind, how it sounds, how it smells, how intense it may be. And the beauty of it is, it's all under your control. You can do it almost infinitely. Now, granted, there's not enough time to infinitely do something, but you can do it without being tired because in real time, physically, you can only do so many reps. Now, I want to go over with one of my clients, Jared Firestone, how to visualize in a way that we do here at MB1. Now, let's kind of see how that looks in our eyes first. Slowing down my breathing, taking myself there, and seeing how I would take Jared through this concept.
So, here we are. Here we are. And turn that down. Turn it down. Sorry. So here we are at Mind Body. It's the coloring. Okay. I think that's right. That's how I want to see it. Okay, we're here at the MB1 lab, and we're going to work on some of the tasks in real time where he's going to do different conditions while using HRV and also working his cognitive load to see how he's able to manage the stress, adapt, and then we can physically see what happened and get direct insights from him, because a big part of visualization is not only controlling what you're imagining or seeing in your mind's eye, but also interpreting how to adapt to it. We're going to make it a little more tangible, as we always do.
I was visualizing the track and sort of kind of the roles of getting on the curves and being in there, then coming out, kind of exhaling out. I can only hear the track, so it was a little different because obviously normally I don't have sound when I do my visualizations, so it's just going through. So it was interesting to try to, at the same time where it sounded like the sled, and that was compared to where I was in my mind run. I think I was a little slow. So that's what's going on.
Months of the year, starting from December backwards.
December, November, October, September, August, July, June, May, April, March, February, January.
Numbers in order.
5'8", 5'2", 8, 2'7".
Correct.
Nice.
Good stuff. And you're at average heart rate variability of 1.3. So that was your highest. Your heart rate was at 67. So you're in a pretty in tune. So what was going on during that run? You're visualizing, obviously, but seeing the numbers too, trying to memorize that. What was your strategy to keep all that intact while you were doing the run?
Yeah, I had to make some, like I'm not thinking as in depth of the curves, but I am still doing the body movements that I would feel without thinking about like the physics of the curves. just because I am keeping those numbers in my head and sort of repeating them as I'm going through. So it's a little more passive with the watching naturally, but just keeping those numbers in mind the whole time and committing them to memory before, like right as the run's ending, committing them to memory, knowing there's going to be a distractor in between.
And you said that you're a little more passive, obviously, than when you did just with the in your head visualization. But would you say having the actual track plays effect, because subconsciously you're seeing the turns, it's relevant in that way? Do you see a benefit of that side when it comes to like encoding the run? Obviously the main task was the memory, but having that what would that do for you would think? Yeah,
just getting my mind used to having that sort of input to it, which is seeing the track and all the kind of waves. And it's different on the video because it does add some of that like shakiness and intensity that's present when I'm really doing it compared to the mind run. It's a little smoother. So having everything moving around and kind of feeling a little jumbled and being able to recall what I experienced, or in this case, the numbers I saw during the run.
So on this last one, because your HRV was the highest as far as the coherence score, was closer to 2. And funny enough, when you were doing the double Stroop task earlier, it was around that range. So the cognitive load, it seems it didn't really deter you too much from a literal physical. That's the beauty of the HRV for those who don't understand it. Like, it's giving the physical readout of how your body and brain are communicating stress. So for this last run, I want you to be a little less passive in the ride. Okay. So kind of try to engage yourself. So, because the whole beauty of visualization from a general standpoint, when you're imagining it, but then also adding in an external visual cue, is that your brain can perceive the same stimuli and the neurons that are firing, because that's the big takeaway, is the neurons are firing from a physical point. Your muscles contract even if you're not physically sliding. So that's the big takeaway. But that adding that extra load is like, can we kind of stump you? And obviously, as of now, you haven't been. You're 14 for 14. So the last one will be Stroop colors, memorized in order while visualizing and real time sliding background.
All right, let's do it.
And let's look at real quick. Turn to me. So let's look at also the peak coherence, meaning how high did you get? Because that's the average what we just went over. So 2.7 on the general visualization when you're just imagining in your head was the peak. 1.8 when you were actually interpreting the external cues with the colors. 2.1 with the numbers. So let's say peak for the Stroop, can we get to 2? That would be a good. Now, obviously, we want to average that same average, 1.1, 1.3, but can we get ourselves and interpret it? It just means basically, can you get the most in tune with the stress load and the focus load? That's what that shows us. So if you can get the 2, that means you're still unchanged by the stimuli. I guess that's the biggest takeaway. Are we getting unchanged with different stressors and variables?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I do training runs, sometimes I'm in the next curve and I am depositing the memory of what just happened so I could learn from it. Whereas in races, I'm just going to the next thing, more in the moment. So it is interesting because I wonder how that would correlate to the race where I'm not. It's kind of like the first thing where I wasn't so concerned. I wasn't thinking at all about what happened because you weren't giving me those cues to remember. I was just doing the run. And then these are more like training runs where I might actually be, you would think it'd be the opposite, but I'm probably more relaxed in race runs because I'm just doing what I'm doing in the moment. I'm not like holding on to things, and like that could cause tension and stuff in a way, or heart rate variability.
That's the whole takeaway is because you've heard the term mindfulness, right? It's pretty cliche buzzword in psychology or just mental health. Yeah, it's not buzzword, but it gets used a lot, right? Sure. So the takeaway from when I work with my clients is always that. Exactly. So he has to be present from this point of like cognitive load, because he has to pay attention to the numbers, colors, whatever, but also him interpreting how he feels or thinks, because the HRV just tells me a readout. Him telling me something may not be in tune, but that's why you notice I always pry and say, what were you thinking in this moment? Or he'll just volunteer the information. And in the mental skills psychology world, a lot of times more so just you go, like if he did a run at Whistler or wherever, and he talked to me a week later, he can only tell me what already happened. The goal of this is to be like, we're seeing it in real time. How did you adjust and adapt and being in tune with what you were doing right then and right there? That's this takeaway where people get caught up in more so pass or fail, right or wrong. I'm looking at what is and how do we fix it. I use an analogy, and you're a track guy, so you'll definitely probably appreciate this. It'll be like, if you run a 10-2, that's the outcome. Great. But what was your form like? What was your drive phase? I can fix things or help with things that can obviously make your outcome better, but instead of like saying, well, what was your drive phase like? I can say, this would make me faster. And that's what this is. It's more so, what was he doing? Like when I ask these things, because people always take it as, oh, if you're focusing and reacting, okay, you gave me a reaction time, but that doesn't tell us the whole story. 10-2 doesn't tell us what happened from block start to finish line, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of what I want out of this is, what is the form? What is your technique? So yeah. So with that being said, let me connect you. I don't know if it timed out during that talk.
Yeah. It did.
Yep. All right. So I'm connecting you now. So try to get in the focus mode. In the words of the great E40, I'll tell you when to go. Hit it. Count to 30 by threes, up and back down.
3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 27, 24, 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3, 0.
What were the colors?
Green, orange, yellow, blue, red, blue.
Correct. What was your strategy? I know we talked about chunking before.
So I was trying to pay more attention to what was happening in the track and even doing more of the actual actions that would accompany it to make sure I stayed locked in there. And I was just, as soon as I would see the colors, I would chunk it, just know it's there, and then keep focusing on the track. So it's the same thing as if something happened, say I came out of a curve, not the way I wanted, or I was trying something and I realized the outcome, I would kind of, this is what I should be doing, just deposit it and move on to the next curve, not keep it in mind the whole way down, know what happened in curve 4 as I'm going through curve 15.
All right, so let's look at the HRV side of things. This is your last run. I feel it was a little more cognitive load. And you did 1.3, so this was your highest. Your peak was 2, so we got it. So that's the cool thing about it. We have some tangibles because people always ask, how do you make sense of it? What does it really show? Especially when I work with like my tactical population, they love that outcome data stuff. So you were able to replicate when you had very low cognitive load, when you're just visualizing in your mind's eye, and you still reached a peak coherence of 2, and then you got 1.3, which is the highest, and your heart rate was still at 69, so you were able to be, quote unquote, mindful in the moment and still focus on the task at hand, giving me those cues in the order they were supposed to go. And you had the distractor task of the 3 by 30. Yeah. Funny enough, when you're doing it, 3 is a lot more trickier than you think when you're trying to do it fast and get the number or colors in this case. All right, so yeah, visualization is a different take that I like to do. So overall, what would you say for obviously skeleton, but in general as an athlete, what would you say to take away from just general visualization as well as how we do it here?
So generally the takeaway is just, it's to me, I just view it as an opportunity to get more runs in, especially in our sport. You can only do them certain times of the year and a certain amount per day. So definitely important to kind of trick your brain into seeing it beforehand and getting more reps. How we do takes it to the next level. It adds the stakes. It adds, I mean, yeah, like this specifically, if I was practicing being able to recall things from my run, it's kind of, if I'm just going to like make up a run as I'm visualizing, first of all, I'm usually visualizing perfect run. If I wasn't, then I'm visualizing mistakes just to remember them. So yeah, the way we do it here, it kind of like smoothly incorporates all of those like elements and things to work on.
Nice.
Oh man, that seemed very real. Okay, now that we're back, you saw how that went down, and this is how we go about doing visualization. We still do the foundational way, of course, but we add a little bit more on top to make sure they're able to see it, interpret it, see what their mindset is like, and we actually have physiological data to see what is going on between their brain and their body to get their mind right. So if you like this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.